peach and fashion model tall, with the looks to match, stood up from the cloth-covered chair placed by the door. Although she tried mightily to avoid the inevitable, it was utterly impossible. She found herself primping the chic, angular hairstyle framing her face in the same dirty mirror. Chandelle's stunning beauty, beset by round brown eyes and anchored by full, voluptuous lips, beamed back at her with a brilliant, approving smile. Yes, just as I suspected, beauty knows no bounds. If you ask me, they had the wrong one locked up, Dior heckled from the hallway. Come on, cuz, let's get out of here. I'm hungry for some real food, something dumped in grease. Ooh, Dee, that's the sanest thing I've heard all day. Let me get your bag. Chapter 1, Exodus. The brisk fall Dallas air brushed against Chandelle's cheeks. It's too cold to be early October, she shrieked. The mink jacket she slid out of a slick plastic covering from the trunk of her car, the one she'd sufficiently convinced herself that she couldn't live without, hugged her shoulders as they approached the front doors of the Alley Catton restaurant parking lot. Dior caught the hint. She peered over the hood of the car at the dark brown collection of expensive pelt and escalating debt. Chandelle sashayed casually in the ridiculously overpriced fur as if the hefty bill, including a truckload of finance charges, wouldn't be arriving in her mailbox within the week. Look at what the cat drug in, Dior howled. That's a nice coat. She stepped around the front of Chandelle's 2-year-old Volvo to run her fingers along the velvety sleeves. Soft as cotton, too. Who boosted it for you? Highly offended, Chandelle was outdone. Boosted? Don't get the way I do business mixed up with how you handle yours. I don't get my hands dirty like that anymore, and if I did, I wouldn't appreciate you putting it out there like that. After Dior smacked her lips, she turned her nose up at Chandelle's refusal to pay the drastically discounted prices for stolen goods like she'd done in the past. I was just saying, I know Marvin didn't let you run up his credit cards with no department store mink. Even I'm smarter than that. Chandelle flipped the collar over her ears and huffed. Shows how little you do know. Marvin didn't let me because he doesn't know about it yet, she thought. Let me deal with my husband. He doesn't tell me what I can buy with my own money, she contended in an irritated tone. Still fuming over having been chastised by a streetwise headache after their entrees were delivered, Chandelle quietly picked over a deep-fried fish basket while Dior dove into hers face first. Instead of listening to her cousin recount the events that landed her inside of the county-funded facility for observation, she was having second thoughts of treating herself to the exotic jacket now saturated with oily catfish odors. It was all right. Dior explained only what she was willing to share. There were always incriminating details she'd purposely leave out. And despite how often Dior managed to get herself caught up in a web, it was never, under any circumstances, her fault. See, what had happened was that trick of a store manager couldn't hold off long enough to see things from my standpoint. It would have been cool if he had just listened to me and then let me bounce. Besides, it was a victimless crime anyhow. After being poked and pinched in that loony bin they put me in, I'm the victim. With a half-eaten hush puppy in one hand, Dior used the other to illustrate how she'd been wronged yet again by the system, although she was caught dead to rights shoplifting in the department store restroom. 14 sets of lingerie items in assorted sizes were stuffed inside her jogging suit when an employee began pounding on the door. Dior's eyes had bugged out as the realization of serving jail time popped into her head. That was a fate worse.